I didn't always know that I wanted to become a teacher. In my senior year of high school, my best friend's mom told me to come to her classroom and informally tutor her students, and immediately after I started, I knew that teaching was the career I wanted to pursue. I enrolled in San Jose State and began taking educational classes and internships with elementary, then high school students, all the while falling in love with the art of teaching. My relatives advised me against the idea, repeatedly encouraging me to choose another, more financially sound career, but I refused to listen. I knew at a young age that I longed to make a difference, to improve the lives of many, and becoming a teacher was the perfect way to accomplish that. Although I would never trade my journey as a teacher for anything else, I undoubtedly encountered my share of obstacles. I began by working at a group home filled with very serious criminals, some of whom were charged with rape and thievery. I prayed before every session to ensure the safety of myself as well as the other students, but one day, one boy, much larger than myself, began threatening me, cursing at me with his hands balled into fists. Scared for my life, I knew there was little I could do. Despite my other students being just as terrified as I was, they banded together and told him to back down, saying, "That's our teacher, she's here to help you." Although my students appreciated my guidance, I knew that teaching them was too dangerous for me. I also became involved in certain programs that I believed were essential to the school I worked for, like classes for children with disabilities and a course for pregnant teenage girls. However, due to budget cuts, these programs never lasted long. I became very frustrated with my job, for once I grew strong attachments to my students, they were taken away from me. It broke my heart to see that there was something very wrong with the current school system, and thus I moved from alternative to mainstream teaching, knowing that the changes I attempted to make would never come through. Despite these hurdles, however, every time I reminisce on my long yet rewarding career, I get teary-eyed and emotional, feeling absolutely blessed to have taught the countless children who make my life a living dream. A few years ago, I taught a bright, blue-eyed young 7th grader named Jen. She was just about the cutest little girl I've ever met, and every morning on her way to school, she would pick her favorite pink flowers and hand them to me. She had mental disabilities and struggled in my class, learning something one day and forgetting it the next, essentially relearning the material all over every day. She never let her disability stand in her way, however, and remained hardworking, always having a positive attitude and a smile on her face. Students like her are the reason I stayed in this career and the reason I adore coming to school every day. Rewind a few years back. My parents had significant marital issues that lasted all throughout my childhood. My dad's business was also failing, we lost the house, and I had to transfer schools during my sophomore year of high school, leading to many difficult years for the whole family. Because I had a brother 3 years younger than me, I felt responsible for him as well as for saving the family and keeping us whole. However, when my parents filed for divorce, I felt accountable for their division and turned to cigarettes and a toxic relationship with a man named Jonathan in order to heal. Jonathan's father had recently become mentally ill, negatively affecting Jonathan's personality, and he began to drink in order to escape the reality he was too afraid to live in. Although I tried to put it aside, after Jonathan's mom told me, "You're too good for my son," I knew I needed to let him go. I could no longer be in a relationship in which I felt scared and in which I did not feel as though we were equals. My mom also got into a severe accident during this time. She did not have a seatbelt on and was thrown to the back of her car, breaking her neck. The doctor told me and my father that the chance my mom would live was 1 in a million, and the fact that she survived was nothing less than a miracle. After that day, I promised myself that I would no longer be so reckless, and that I would cherish every moment of my life, for it could be over at any minute. After this darker period in my life, I learned to accept myself and be open to new relationships and experiences, soon meeting my husband Thomas and becoming a teacher. I learned from these more hurtful incidences and found happiness, and I am utterly grateful. I have known Sharon DeMeo for over a decade now. I've been close friends with her daughter, Lucia, since kindergarten, and every time I visit their house, I'm greeted by the warm welcome of Sharon's embrace and her constant reminders about how much she has missed me. However, prior to the interview, I had only briefly seen Sharon's lighthearted presence, but after having this intimate conversation with her, I realized just how much she cares for her students, working so hard to see each and every one of them succeed. Despite the obstacles she has experienced in her life, she is truly grateful for every moment, and I value her character considerably more now. I will surely look back on this interview with very happy memories.